Let's sew together a warm jumpsuit with a detachable hood and a comfortable secret. For sewing you will need details of sleeves and stripes. Three parts of the front. When cutting, the pattern should be laid out on the wrong side of the fabric, and the details of the front should turn out in a mirror image. Rear details. This is a piece of the back with a fold and two pieces of pants. Two side and one central part of the hood, two collar pieces, and also a drawstring and strip buttons that I will cut out later. First, let's put together the details of the sleeves. I will expire them on overlock. Immediately connect the parts of the hood. It is most convenient to process the bottom of the hood with unbiased tape. To do this, unfold one edge of the bias tape and sew on the sewing machine directly into the line of this fold. Now you need to bend the bias tape inside the hood and sew. The front edge of the hood needs to be overcast on the overlock. Fold the front edge of the hood by 2 centimeters and sew on the sewing machine. I stitch the seams on the sleeves along the stripes and the edge of the hood. Start sewing the back of the jumpsuit. Cut a drawstring. The edges of the drawstring need to be overcast on the overlock. Mark the drawstring sewing line on the back. Sew a drawstring. Overlock the lower back. Cut off excess. Insert an elastic band 1 inch or 2/2 centimeters wide into the drawstring. The elastic must be secured on one side, then slightly tightened and secured on the other side. The length of the elastic should be chosen from individual preferences and depending on the quality of the elastic. Sew the back of the pants. The top of the resulting part must be swept over with an overlock. Sew on a hidden zipper, stepping back from the edges to the width of the seam allowance. Sew on the second part of the zipper. Making reinforcement stitches. Proceeding to the front of the jumpsuit. I wanted to decorate it with an application. For this I drew a silhouette of Mickey Mouse on a piece of tracing paper. I glued a piece of black knitted fabric with an iron with a duplicating material. Put a black piece of fabric with tracing paper on top of it to the right side of the front and pin. On a sewing machine, set the stitch length 1 to 1.5 mm and sew the lines of the pattern along the contour. Remove tracing paper. Cut off excess fabric. Cut off the remnants of fabric without reaching 1 mm to the seam with a manicure scissors. Make a bow from a small piece of fabric. Neatly sew on a bow. Prepare one collar piece. Cut out the button strip. Sew the ends of the strip, cut off the corners. Mark the middle of the button strip and collar. Combine marks and stitch. It is often very cold in our country, and children wear such jumpsuit under insulate snowsuit. And if you leave the hood, there will be a very uncomfortable on the back. Therefore, I need the hood to unfasten. If you do not want a hood with buttons, you do not need to make a button strip. Instead, you can immediately sew the hood to the collar. Sew the collar to the front details, but not completely. Overcast the front cuts on the overlock. Pin the zipper, stepping back from the top edge by the width of the seam allowance. So figure out the length of the lining. The zipper needs to be cut 1/2 centimeter above the bottom of the front piece. Process the edge of the zipper. Sew on half of the zipper using the zipper foot. Now you need to fasten the zipper and put a mark opposite the seam of the neck. Align the mark with the seam and sew on the other half of the zipper using the zipper foot. Check the result. Sew on the lower part of the front. Make a mark on the armhole. With this mark you will need to align the seams of the sleeves. Sew side seams. Stitch the seam of the pants. Sew the seams of the sleeves. Sew the sleeve into the armhole, aligning the marks on the armhole with the sleeve seam. Sew a collar into the neckline. Sew the second part of the collar on all sides on the overlock. Sew on the second part of the collar. Sew the top and bottom of the collar for a seam allowance. Cut off the seam allowance on the upper part of the collar not reaching 2 mm to the seam. Cut out the cuffs, fold them along the lengthwise thread and sew on the overlock. The size of the cuffs depends on the quality of the fabric and personal preference. Now the cuffs need to be sewn on. Top stitch collar and zipper. It remains only to install the buttons on the hood and on the strip.